Welcome to the Dental Team Podcast. I'm your host, Kiera Dent, and I have this crazy idea that maybe I could combine a doctor and a team member's perspective because let's face it, dentistry can be a challenging profession with those two perspectives. I've been a dental assistant, treatment coordinator, scheduler, biller, office manager, regional manager, practice owner, and I have a team of traveling consultants where we have traveled to over 165 different offices coaching teams. Yep, we don't just understand you, we are you. Our mission is to positively impact the world of dental, and I believe that this podcast is the greatest way I can help elevate teams, grow VIP experiences, reduce stress, and create A-teams. Welcome to the Dental Team Podcast. Hello, Dental Team listeners. This is Kiera, and today I am so excited for you guys to get an incredible episode. I think this might become a real shebang every single month. Me, Ryan Isaac, Dentist Advisors, and Ashley Joves with The Making of. She is a practicing dentist as well, Little Black Dress podcast. All three of us are getting on the show today to go through some problems in practices, different things from a consultant and a financial advisor and a dentist perspective, and just kind of going through the real problems, the real life problems, and how to solve them and how to overcome is just really a magical experience. So I hope you guys truly enjoy this podcast. I hope you take some notes. And if you're interested in a question where you want a consultant, a financial advisor, and a dentist perspective, be sure to email in hello@thedentalyteam.com. We talked about doing this as a monthly, quarterly thing, and I really think it'd be great to give you guys tangible, tactical, practical solutions to your problems, you giving them to us. So email in hello@thedentalyteam.com. And as always, thanks for listening.
So I'm going to pose a question for Kiera, but then Ashley, the dentist, in the trenches, well, I say trenches, but then I saw pictures of your new practice, and I wouldn't call those trenches.
No, she's in like the bougiest of the bougie, of the most gorgeous, like I want her to decorate my home type practice. She has, Ryan, hold on. As we're talking, it will be a consultant, dentist, and advisor's perspective.
Okay.
Ashley will come back when she wants to come back to the
popping
party.
Back on and off.
But with Ashley, you're gone again. With that, Ashley has, Ryan, I kid you not, in her sterilization room, gold handles for the drawers in sterile with black countertops of just like pure bougie gorgeousness of sterilization. I was blown away. I'm like, you want to eat dinner here, but it's gross sterile, but it looks beautiful.
But it's clean.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
it was so
let's use that for the beginning question then, because this is fascinating to me as a financial advisor. Kiera, this is your whole business, and I get questions on this all the time. Ashley, how did you decide to go to that location? What was going on in your life, in your other practice, with your goals, with your money, cash flow, your patients, demographic, all of it? What led you to go from where you were to where you are now in apparently this gold-handled palace of dental dreams?
So man, how long do we have? No. So in my first location in Folsom, all day, I love it. In my first location, it is 6 ops. We had at one point 13 team members, no room to breathe. And honestly, like I feel stifled when I'm like too close to people. I think it's also as I've gotten older, I just don't want to be around that many humans anymore. Is that weird?
Mm-hmm.
So relatable, like you are.
So
That's my love language. Antisocial behavior is my love language.
You guys have the LOMO, not the FOMO, the love of missing out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
The love of missing out, and we're both Enneagram 7s. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Guys, I still have FOMO, so I can't completely relate.
I actually
but
have huge FOMO. Yeah.
I do enjoy my alone time after being with people. I'm like, no, shut this off.
Just leave me alone. Yeah.
Just shut it off.
Very relatable though. Yeah.
It was, so I had this one really successful practice. We were just cranking 6 ops, running full steam ahead, like chickens with our heads cut off. And I dreaded just going to the practice. I was like, this is claustrophobic. When I first started this location, it was super zen. We had almost nothing on the countertops. We had like plants and that was it. And now like I walk in and there like sterilization is just crazy. And it was just not fun anymore practicing, and especially with COVID. So with COVID, like the pandemic, I mean, I didn't have COVID, but with the pandemic, things just changed. Now we needed to have all this PPE. Now it really took away that personalization even more. I mean, dentistry was already a tough sell for people, right? And now we have like the masks. It was just like we need to get away from each other. Like that whole social distancing, I feel was almost like a blessing in disguise,
Can we
quite
bring it back?
honestly.
Yeah.
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 I
Let's go back a little bit.
Does
A little
anyone
bit.
else miss it? Like quarantine? Because I kind of do.
I feel like I shouldn't be too positive because it was very, very bad for so many people, but I didn't have the
Yeah.
worst year of my life. It wasn't the worst.
No. No,
Yeah.
I
it
think it was
wasn't.
something
Yeah.
where it just recentered all of us, right? Like
Mm.
it went back
Yeah.
to like more family time and spending time with people that I want
Yeah.
to, and then enjoying when I'm at work. And I did miss like, I think human interaction was, but I think it became something of like, I feel like we were human interaction on steroids. Then we went to like
Yeah.
no interaction on steroids, to where I think we're kind of trying to find like what really is the happy
Mm.
medium between the two.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's interesting.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks. And that's interesting to hear. The words that are standing out, Ashley, as you're saying this story, though, these are the words that stand out to me. So this is heavily biased, but you just said you weren't having fun anymore.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's such an underappreciated part of a career. Like everything is like progress and money and status and achievement. And those things are great. Those aren't bad things. But where's the fun? Because
Yeah.
like we do this for most of our lives. So where's the fun? I like that you said that as like something you noticed and that became a priority you wanted to focus on.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
and
I would agree
I
on that.
found
I think Ashley's so many doctors, Ryan, to your point, like hearing so many of them, I do feel like they don't prioritize their personal lives. And I think, Ashley, that's something you do very differently, which I love to highlight, is they think that fun is not something that they can expect. They think
Mm.
that
mhm,
work should just be like a mode of this. But I'm like, if we're not working to enjoy
mhm,
life, like are you working to live, or are you living to work?
mhm,
And neither one's right. But I think it's such an undervalued portion of life, and those who prioritize it are happier. I mean, like Ashley, seeing you yesterday in your practice, you were so excited to show me your office. You have your like smile studio. I feel like
yeah,
that energy really is infused back into you. And so many offices, I tell them like you've got to have that office as a space that you love if you want to be super productive and profitable, because when you are flourishing and thriving, that's when you're
mhm,
actually really productive. When you're in this like suck of energy, you actually struggle to be profitable and productive because you just don't enjoy being there. So, to Ryan's
yeah.
point, I think it's super underrated, but should be top rated if you really want to have that fulfilling, profitable life that we're all searching for.
Mm.
Amen. And so funny you mentioned fun, because fun is one of our core values also. And I know that it's a core value with Dental A Team. Is it one of your core values too, Ryan?
What's funny about that is it is now. So
Oh,
we kind of yeah, no, we like for real. Shout out to Matt Mulcock, who is at the helm for dentist advisors these days, and he kind of helped us reinstitute some new core values in our company that
yeah.
we just discussed a few months ago. And actually, that is one of our top ones. Yeah, it made me really
Awesome.
happy. I love to see that.
Awesome. And
Like, why don't
so,
we? I'm just going to ask the question for all of our different perspectives. Why do you think that people don't prioritize fun? Why do you think in dentistry as an industry, fun isn't something prioritized in, I would say, even not just dentistry, but in society? I don't know if either of you have a thought on that. Ryan, of course, I'm sure you have a thought. We'll circle to you first, but why do we
Mm.
feel fun might not be? I mean, like for you guys to bring it in as a core value,
Yeah,
I started the company to have fun. So I was like, forget that. If I'm not
mm,
yeah,
having
good for you.
fun and we're not adding
Yeah.
sprinkles and my life's amazing, I don't
Hmm.
want to do
mhm.
this. But I don't think it's really there. Maybe it is, and maybe I don't see it. I don't know.
Yeah, it could be personal perspective. I mean, I would agree with that. It could be generational. It could be the age groups, how we grew up. It could be cultural upbringing. I mean, you go on social media and scroll through it, and how there's so much emphasis on like sacrifice and grind. Like it feels like the
Mhm.
cheesiest thing nowadays. Like, what's your morning routine? It's like I don't sleep. I'm at 2 a.m. I'm cold plunging and I'm meditating. Like those things are so great, but there's like so much emphasis on like grind and sacrifice.
Yeah.
And but that could be generational. That could be things I notice from my age group and generation. I do feel like, I don't know if I'd call it fun, but I do feel like younger generation emphasizes, maybe call it fulfillment or meaning or purpose better than like my generation does.
Agreed.
I don't
I
know if
would
they'd call it
agree.
emphasizing fun, but yeah, I think they do a better job. And so there's probably a lot of factors, but it is a thing. It's a total thing.
Yeah.
And from a dentist perspective, I mean, gosh, we graduate with $1 million in debt. It
Mm,
feels like you buy a practice, there's an extra $1 million. You do a startup, it's now 750,000 is the average to start up, plus the 750,000 in school loans. And then we have these PPO reimbursement rates where like insurance companies are just paying you 50 cents on the dollar. So now you have no choice but to crank. You have to see
mm,
multiple patients running around with your head cut off. So it's not it's not surprising that there is no fun in most dental practices. Everyone's just trying to survive. And in California, I mean, Kiera, we went through my overhead with staff costs. Like these RDAs with almost no experience, like they're making a good amount of money. And even the fast food industry, Chick-fil-A
yeah,
or what is it? It's going to be $20 an hour for fast food.
yeah,
So
hmm,
Yeah.
yeah,
there's not a lot of fun in that.
yeah,
You have to compete.
yeah. It's the pressure.
It's one of those things where, I mean, if I went back to historic times and I am trying to survive, there probably wasn't a lot of fun, I would think, in those times. Like,
Mhm.
of course, you can always make fun in whatever situation you are. But Ashley, you bring
Mhm.
up a good point. If you're in survival mode, you're not in
Mhm.
fulfillment seeking. You're in, I just have to like find
Yeah.
my daily bread and get through this. That then I think on the other side is that breathing room. That's the fun thing. How did you do it in
Mhm.
your practice, Ashley? Because you started it with fun. You, I think, were very different from a lot of dentists I know. Where I mean, I saw you at Smile and Co. The first one. We had a like cute memory yesterday when you fluffed the pillows in your office, and I
I did.
remember when I went to your first practice, you took me outside to the patio and you fluffed the pillows there. But I feel like
Because
you've
every
always
practice has a
prioritized
patio.
fun. Every practice
Yeah,
has a lounge area. Ashley's like, sit on the
Yeah.
couch in my office because it's more comfy and cozy here. Like, who has a couch and prioritizes this beautiful space? But I feel like, Ashley, you've done that even with the debt, even with the startup, even with the pressure. Do you have any thoughts on, from a dentist perspective? Like, yeah, it's stressful, but in
Yeah.
survival mode, you still found a way to have it enjoyable for yourself.
Quite honestly, it was because of a need. Like I hate the dentist. I think the
Mm,
as an overarching theme, most dental practices are awful. They're not fun for the patient. It's always rushed. It's not personalized. And I'm obviously the people who are listening to this. They're creme de la creme, right? People who listen to podcasts are
yes.
always trying to be better. But generally speaking, there's a lot of sleepy practices that we talked about, Kira, where it's awful. It's awful. I've worked in those offices as an associate, and it was actually during my time in a pediatric office. I worked in pedo for 5 years, and it was so nice to sing The Little Mermaid to kids while
Yeah.
giving them anesthetic.
wait, wait. Which song? Which song would you actually sing?
Ashley,
And
can
can we?
you give us a
5
demo?
seconds. 5 seconds.
I
Yeah.
don't want
You
your
don't.
ratings to go down,
Nah.
guys. I
You
really
don't.
would
You
I
never
don't.
think
do
they'll
that to your
definitely go up.
audience.
I think they would definitely skyrocket,
No.
Ashley. I mean, I
All right.
shared my embarrassing Invisalign story yesterday with your team. I mean, let's just keep on rolling with
Which
the,
song, at least,
yeah, at
were
least
you
one
singing?
Um,
song.
the look at this stuff, isn't it neat? Wouldn't you
Don't
think?
you
Yeah.
think?
Okay. All right. So you
Okay, you
missed.
guys are
Okay.
having me
Anyway.
sweat here. So I'm working on these kids, and the parents would say, "Do you guys see adults here?" Like, and they would be genuinely serious about the question. And we're sorry, we're a pediatric office. And why couldn't we be silly and dance in hallways and maybe tell inappropriate jokes from time to time? I don't know. That's just my personality. And if this is the career that I have chosen for myself, there is no way I'm going to work for the next 2, 3, 4 decades and not enjoy coming to work. I'm sorry, it's just not
Mm-hmm.
going to fly.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love that. It's so much of our lives spent working. Okay, so going back, and then I've been thinking of another topic that we could maybe round this out with, that both of you will have really good experience with. I know our audience will love to hear about this, and I think yours will too. But to finish this out, so the second location, you got this thing going. It's clearly, from what I've seen and here, it's pretty amazing. How does that transform things then from where you were to how you're feeling about them now, and then how do you feel about like where they're going in the future?
In terms of like just where Smile and Co is going, or
Sure, like yeah, your career, your like how does it progress from here for you, moving from the one to the two, and did you get fun back? Are you having fun? Was it
I
the gold handles and the patio and the pillow, or like is that fun? Did it help? Did it work?
it is everything that I could have asked for and then some. But all this to
Hmm.
say is, I mean, it's still a roller coaster. It's with
Mm-hmm.
this beautiful new office, there's growth, and with growth there is discomfort, and when there's discomfort there's loss, and a mourning period of what was. So now we're navigating, what does this even look like for our culture? We used to be this one big happy family working together having fun, and now I've taken half my team and split them into the two offices. So now they're navigating those feelings of not seeing each other all the time. And then the vibe is different. And I didn't realize how different. Well, I guess I knew that the way I interact with patients is different than how the other doctors interact with patients. Not to say that one is bad and one is good, but the vibe is different. And now I'm navigating, okay, what does this look like as a brand? As Smile and Co grows and as we scale, I still want this to be my blood, sweat, and tears and my brand, but how do I take a step back so that it's still embodying all of those core values, but not necessarily reliant just on me anymore to be the face, to be the fun, to be this culture. And so that's definitely been a challenge. And it was already a challenge when I took a step back and I hired associates and now let them do all the new patients and the exams. But now that I'm dividing my time, so I'm in the new space, like I don't want the old space, the not the old space, the first space to feel neglected, or that it's not being showered with the love and attention that it deserves. So it's basically like having a second kid, right? And you have this newborn baby, and now your firstborn is like vying for, not vying for your attention, but it's different. There's there's
Mm-hmm.
um
The dynamic,
yeah,
everything's
the
everything's
dynamic.
permanently changed. Thanks for sharing that, Kiera. Can you talk to that about you in the consulting role, improving these
Mhm.
things, and you field these questions? That's what you do
Mm-hmm.
professionally. You hear these concerns. How do you hear that as a consultant, and how do you plan to address all this stuff? Like, what does that look like on your side?
Yeah. I think Ashley, what you're describing is what I think anytime there's a big transition in dentist lives. So like when they go buy their first practice, they're so excited about doing it and instantly their lives change. And it's like, hold on, I like this was a dream I've dreamed up. And then I think it's the expectation versus the reality gap, which causes
Mhm.
like some deep depression and like some like, whoa, how does this go?
Yeah.
And then you're trying to like navigate now you're an owner, you're not an associate or a student. Now you're a multi-practice owner versus just a single one. And I just think it's cyclical of a business. And we forget that these are seasons within the business. That's totally normal. And there's really no way to prepare for it.
Mm,
And it's really, you got to like go through it and be able to sustain while going through it. So
Hmm.
what does that look like? You don't want to like suck the fun. Ashley did this to have fun. And I'm sure there are some days, I'm not here to speak for Ashley, but for doctors that I've coached and seen, it isn't fun. It's like that you dream of this, like you dream of making $1 million and the day you do, it's kind of like well, wait, it fell short from what I thought I would
Mm.
feel.
Yeah.
And so it's figuring out how to navigate it and I think stabilize the expectation with reality and make it fun. But there is this growing period. And so helping them realize like when everything's in chaos and confusion, what needs to be prioritized, what needs to happen,
Yes.
because I think it's all this all consuming. I feel like I have to do everything right now rather than where do I need to invest my energy? What does this look like? And I call it like the 3 to 6 months shakeout of any new change. So it's a new associate doctor, a new practice, a second location, a third location. It's usually a 3 to 6 month shakeout before things actually shake and settle. But look at the rest of your life. When you buy a new
Hmm.
home, when you have a new baby, when you get in a new relationship, like when you get married and you're adjusting to that life, when you start school. So it's these big monumental changes, and like you get a new team, you get a new office manager, you lose a team member. Like these are their moments in time that I think really need to be given more love, more energy. And also us, instead of doing that grind it out,
Hmm.
let's prioritize and actually let's like refuel ourselves internally so that way we can output, because there is more output. And so really I just think for me, I boil it down to the basic. Let's make sure you've got your profitability numbers figured out. Let's make
Hmm.
sure you've got a team and we're maximizing while simplifying at the same time. So, like, if I could choose one thing to implement in a team, which is exactly what we did with Ashley's office yesterday, if I could only choose one thing that's going to drive and fix a lot of their problems, we're going to highlight that and get the whole team rowing that direction. And then really like almost center the owner of this is what you do as step A, B, C. And I'm going to check in with you because I think they're trying to do like the whole alphabet soup and it just constantly spins them.
Yeah.
And I really think that that's where outside perspective, your advisor board, like Ryan, I'm talking this of like I'm so experienced in this, which I am for dentists, but my own life, I call you and I'm like, talk me off the ledge. I'm ready to sell this. I don't want to do this anymore. I thought this was going to be fun. And so I think it's just all of us need to have a grounding person that really
Yeah.
has the answers and the resources for us, but also
Hmm.
give the space that it's a 3 to 6 month period, which seems
Hmm.
forever in the moment. And in
Hmm.
reality, it's a small dot on the timeline of your entire life. So let's not let this small dot on the timeline of our entire life overshadow the goodness of what we wanted this to become, and like give it time to become what it's capable of being.
I
I'm
love
laughing
it.
to myself because in your business, you're trying to get people to hold on for 3 to 6 months while things change. In my business, I need people to give it a few decades for their investment accounts to be okay. Like, hey, in 20 years, it's going to be fantastic. It's okay. It's a
Just
lot
keep
of trust.
trusting.
Just keep
It
going. I
is
promise it's
trust.
going to be okay. Thank you.
Ryan's
Thank
my
you.
money monster is what I call him, like the
Yeah.
cookie monster. I'm like, Ryan, I just
Yeah.
like give you money, but I actually like don't know where it goes, how I get it
Yeah.
back. And
I
like
mean, you
that's probably
do,
really good. I
but we're
do.
working on it. Yeah.
So, but that's a good
Just
way
as a
to view
disclaimer,
you.
your money goes somewhere and it's protected by a third party, and you're not being scammed.
I'm not.
Thanks
I'm
for no, yeah, no, thanks for sharing all that, Ashley. Like, I think the questions on your mind are just so relevant for people. The environment of dentistry right now, with all the consolidation, all the DSOs out there,
Yeah.
there's going to be eventually this big group of that. Neither good nor bad, whatever. It's just different, and then there's going to be a group of probably multi-location practice owners, and
Mhm.
it's going to be the people in that group who really figure out the answers to the questions you're dealing with right now. So it's really healthy to kind of go through all of these. I like the
Hmm.
the topics you're discussing though, because the way that this plays out, when I hear you as a dentist talk about this and I hear the consulting side of how to address it, the way I see it play out is people take these emotions from their career, whether it's like burnout, lack of fun, lack of fulfillment, stress, pressure, and we as humans subconsciously take it out on our money decisions, with how we invest, the
Yes.
way we blow money and spend it, the way we like purposely sabotage ourselves by not being organized, or we don't ask for help. So these are super relevant things. Here's another thing that's on my mind a lot lately. I was just on a call with a client this morning talking about this, and that's people cost and
Mhm.
people. You were just, when we started, you're getting new people. How do you attract talent? How do you keep it? I think on all the P&Ls I'm seeing now for the last 2 years, people cost is up from an average in the 20% now to like 30% people cost.
Easily.
Someone told me the other day that a $1.5 million practice is the new $1 million practice. Like you got to, like the benchmarks you have to hit to break even and feel okay are just getting higher and higher.
Yeah.
Can the both of you speak to that? People, team, leadership, the cost of it, how sustainable is it? What are you doing? How are you working on it?
Crying.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you, Ashley, for your answer. Kiera, what is your? It's very honest and succinct. Crying. I like that.
Crying.
Yeah. You're not lying. Yeah.
Just crying the whole time.
Yeah, Ashley, what do you, when you hear, I mean, you're in the middle of it, you're testing new boundaries with the growth of it. How do you think about just how teams and leadership and people, finding them, paying for them, where it's headed? How are you feeling about it all? Not that you have to have the answers. I'm just curious, like, what your experience is like.
It is. Do you allow cursing on this show? No cursing.
No, do it, and we'll just beep it out. I think that's kind of funny, actually. Please do.
I mean, the environment, especially in California, as you know, Ryan, the staff cost situation, I've always been over. Like that whole 25 to 30%, that has never been a thing for me. And now I have the two practices, and even, I mean, we ran the numbers of our BAM, Kiera, right? Like it's insane what overhead is looking like when we're not even really big. We had 2 dental assistants, 1 front office, 1 associate dentist, and that's basically it for both practices. And 1 hygienist.
It's 10 total people, 5 in each office.
Yeah.
It's not that many.
And it's not that many.
Sky high costs.
It's crazy. And so we got out of network with Delta because we needed to make a change. We were running 6 rooms, and my hygienists were cranking it all day long. And after a full day of hygiene with Delta reimbursements, sometimes they wouldn't even hit $900. And now hygienists in California are anywhere from 60 to 75 an hour. And you're paying them even when that patient no-shows. And heaven forbid, that's a 2-hour SRP. That's a big hit to the bottom line. So I feel that so much that the new $1 million practice is actually, you have to be at least 1.5. I don't know. I honestly, it's really disheartening to see what insurances have done, and just these conglomerates, these DSOs, these private equity, where they're able to capture, such a big monopoly pretty much of our space. And then they can pay for all of these equipment and supplies at much lower costs. And how do we compete with that as a solo private office? I really don't know. And I think that it's such a vicious cycle. Like, you want to attract top level talent. You want to attract just people who are going to stay with you, stay committed, and be encouraged to treat people well. But at the same time, if you can't even afford to pay their salaries, like, what do you do? It's, I don't know. It's sad.
Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Kiera, when you hear that from your clients, like you do all the time, I hear that from our clients in the last few years. It's probably the biggest topic people are talking about. How do you hear that? And like, where do you go from here?
Yeah. Well, and it was interesting when we very first started the podcast. You're like, well, I'll talk about issues we're hearing. It was going to be the staffing, the morale, and how do you do this? Because I think that everyone would love to run a business. And I hear so often, I love the business, I don't enjoy the people side. And I'm like, but we fail to realize that businesses are the people.
That's all it is.
The people are what truly make this business. And so I remember a while ago, Britt, one of our consultants, gave me a really good perspective shift of, do I see my people as a liability or an asset? And I think sometimes, like when I'm looking at the P&L, they feel like a liability. Like, oh my gosh, they cost this much. But if I realize that they're actually the asset of the business, it does do a flip of the script and a different filter position. And so one of the greatest things they say, like the biggest cost on a business is your like employee turnover. And so if you can find a way to, number one, hire better, which none of us do. So just put it out there, like you're not bad if you have turnover. It's just learning to navigate through this, to change your perspective and realize like you're going to have turnover regardless of how great of a boss you are. And that doesn't matter. Like you can be nice and you can have it there. And some of being the nicest boss in the world, you're still going to have people turn over
Yeah.
on you. And I
Yeah.
don't think giving your, like, my mom has a quote on her fridge that says like parents who are afraid to put their foot down have children who step on their toes. And so when I say being a nice boss, it doesn't mean giving them everything, because I actually think they actually stop respecting you. So it's having the balance of expectation, because as a team member, what I care about is I want you to tell me your expectations clearly. I want to know, how can I win? And then I want like true genuine praise from my doctor. And so realizing like that's what they're looking for. But the staffing costs are there. And so I feel like instead of being frustrated with it, because that's one path, let's look to see how can we make this the best it can be. Like to Ashley's point, it's hard. It's super hard. It's hard to see those costs get there. And so can you find different ways to become competitive, and like can we get scrappy? So for solo owners, like there's buying groups that we can get into, there's ways that we could reduce our supply costs, there are budgets we can put into place. Like let's scrap down and be super intentional on the things we can control so we can offset the cost of labor. Like it is a give and take. And then that's also where you do go out of network or you bring in membership plans. Like to realize that there are options that we can do. And then sometimes it is just the cost of it. Like I realized this year, I'm going to sacrifice a little bit of profitability in my own business to ease the stress of like fitting within this 30% category. So like what is your priority? Is it the profit, which I don't care if that's your choice, there's no right or wrong, or is it that like great, if I hire a few more team members, that's going to alleviate my stress exponentially. But if I'm putting that staff cost in there, I need to expect them, give them correct job descriptions and expect them to show up here, because if I'm going to pay for it, I want to make sure that they are really doing what I need them to do. So again, it's just like all around, but really I think my best thing that I can do is almost give the dentist a hug, remind them that like this is normal, you're not abnormal, this is hard, and now let's figure out a solution that's going to be doable. So like Ashley, figuring out your BAM, got it. We at least know the number of what you have to produce and collect. We came up with a pretty easy solution. We're going to put it in play, try it in 3 months, and if it doesn't work, let's pivot again. But like it was COVID, it was the great resignation. I had a really brilliant mentor once tell me, Kiera, all of these problems that come to you are just the flavor of business. So see it as the flavor of business, not the like identity of the business, because it's going to shift. Right now it's staffing costs, then it's going to be supply costs, then it's going to be insurance. Like every one of these is just part of business. And truthfully, I want to just remind us like this is what we signed up for when we decided to become business owners. There's success, and part of success is suck. Like there's a
Yeah.
suck portion of business.
The
And then
suck
there's
and
the
success.
I
All
love that.
this is
I'm
the
gonna
suck
steal
part of it.
that.
Like we can't take the whole enchilada and be like, well, I don't want that part. Like business and success has two sides. Like there is a suck portion of being successful, and then there is the beautiful side of success as well. And we don't get both without you have to have both to make it happen. So
right.
that's kind of my perspective from it. And Ryan, I'm sure you've got a different one. And it's interesting. I want to just point this out. I think Ashley's got the here and now dentist perspective.
Yeah.
A consultant has your like 3, 6, 12 month, like, let me get you this plan to get you through it. And Ryan, you've got the like in 20 years plan. So all three of us have this very different vantage point. And I
Yeah.
think all are super relevant, because without the here and now, like I'm in it, I'm in the trenches, this is real life. The consultant's the bird's eye view of like, let's get you these tactical pieces. And then the financial advisor that's like, hey, remember what you're actually working towards? It's this life, it's this thing, like this is what it's all going to be for. And living in the here and now, even while providing for our long-term financial future.
I love that. The one thing I think that stands out to me that you just said, Kiera, was, and you could just teach this lesson. You could take exactly your same words and teach this lesson about being a good investor, which is like, what's the scary flavor of the economy of the month? You know, I've been in this job now for 15 years. I don't think there's been 0 years so far where there's not been something scary. And we're still here. We might not be tomorrow, but we're here today, you know? But that's such a good lesson, because it's like, go look at 10 years in the news and you tell me what hasn't been scary, but the world marches on. We find a way. Maybe one day, again, we won't. We'll just all become extinct. One day it will be, finally it will be it's different this time, and we'll all be wiped out, but until then, I think what you said is just really helpful. Whether it's business, it's investing, it's your personal life, it, there's always something. And but that means you're always learning something too, and you're always adapting and growing from that, and now you'll be better for it in the future. Like, all of us, having seen our businesses and our clients and friends and families businesses shut down for months at a time, taught us something, and we are better for it in a lot of ways. Not discounting that it hurt in a lot of ways too, but I like that you said that, because it's the same thing with like the economy and markets, investing. There's always something. It doesn't signify the end. It just signifies the new flavor, and there'll be another one next month. So
yeah,
that was
Ryan, I
good.
want to piggyback on that real quick. I would say, like, iron sharpens iron. So these hard experiences are sharpening you. And I think, and Ryan, you and I have a different perspective than Ashley does, even though we're equally business owners in our own realm. I feel all these experiences, like, truly, to me, I feel like like the mastery of business is being able to maintain like levelness
Mm.
throughout all the wild ups
Mm-hmm.
and downs. So that's like your investing, your
Yeah.
emotions, like the staffing, this, like, it's so easy to be volatile, and that becomes reactionary, versus being able to like truly sharpen your
Mm.
skill of being able to just navigate the waves and stay more even kill and more level headed to make smarter decisions even when you're hit with this, because it's going to keep coming. And Ryan, I
Mm.
think you teach that really, really well, of how to stay super level headed throughout all of it, even when everything's turbulent around you, to me
Cool.
is a sign of mastery of an exceptional leader, an exceptional business owner, and those who can just cut through and make the right decisions, even when the emotional pieces are tugging at you, and to stay steady throughout while being able to pivot and make the correct decisions throughout it.
So hard. Yeah, thank you. It's a thing we're all trying to work hard, and get better at. Speaking of staying steady and calm, I think maybe one thing that helps, we can wrap on this idea, is maybe a little bit of wine every once in a while. So Ashley, why don't you tell us about the making of event that's coming up? Uh, what, next month already? Kiera, you're going to be there. I think I'm
Yes.
going to be there. And
You already said you
so,
are, Ryan.
yeah,
You
I already said,
can't.
yes,
No
I'm
take
going to be there.
backs.
Yeah. I'm going to be there with my microphone, and we're going to be having
Yeah.
conversations. But
No, we're gonna have so much
tell us about it.
fun. So we are hosting our second annual Making a Retreat in Sonoma, California, November 15th to 17th. It is a Wednesday to Friday. And yeah, that was a mistake. We're not going to do it midweek next year. I promise you guys. But gosh, it's going to be a meeting of the minds. We're going to have the best speakers in the world. I swear, the best speakers in the world. And just talking about dentistry, about money, about fulfillment, mental health, depression. And then we're going to wrap up in the conference room, but then we're going to take our little sesh and move it over to the vineyards where we can really talk about the hard things, the things that light us up. Because so this, like I started Smiling Co. with this idea of creating a different dental experience. And this whole retreat was born from all of so I'm a self professed CE junkie. Like, I love going to conferences, not
It'll
just
be on
for
her
the
P&L
content.
of a C&L budget. Like,
Yeah,
just so
it
you know,
will.
like the P&L, she has her CE budget on there. Like, we put it in
That's
there.
right.
So I can tell you, like, this girl's a CE junkie through
I
and through.
love I love
Yeah.
CE so much, not just for the content, but some of the best learning took place at the bar during happy hour, at dinners over like whoever we met at that conference for the weekend. And I wanted to take exactly that and build an entire retreat around that whole vibe, because so much of this stuff, like as a dentist, it can be very lonely. You feel so isolated in your four walls. And if you are already dealing with turnover and these rising staff costs and lower reimbursements, who are you really talking to about that? And that's why I think mental health is such an spoken about topic. Is that even a phrase?
It is now. Doesn't matter.
It is now.
Yeah, we get
it
it.
is now.
Yeah, we get
So
it.
I just wanted to create something that was going to be memorable, but also fulfilling. Like, you can go to so many CEs, but if it's not really lighting you up, like, I want people to leave this experience feeling like a better human, feeling like you've just connected with 80 of your closest friends, like people who will have your back. Like, I know that I can call Kiera and Kiera's going to be like, I got you. It's going to be fine. Or I can talk to you, Ryan, and say, Ryan, I'm worried about this. And you're going to be like talking me off the ledge. It's not been 20 years yet. You need to settle down. But I want that for everybody, because I experience it from podcasting and from the community. But not everybody has that luxury. Not everyone feels connected to other people. And it's a shame. Like, we should all feel connected, especially after the pandemic. So I'm excited.
Where do people find registration on our show? This episode will probably come out like next week, so there'll be some time if there's still room. So where do people find the making
we
of
have
Retreat?
limited spots. But thank you so much. We have limited spots available. Make sure to come listen. Ryan, you're gonna do like your whole spiel about dying with zero. What are you talking about? Anything?
We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out.
Dying, just dying.
Just
in
dying.
That's it.
A little bit
Dying
every
inside.
day.
Dying inside.
I have presented with Ryan so many times, and I'm like, Ryan, what are you talking about? He's like, Kiera, it's not the night before. Like, I'll get it there the night before.
We'll figure it out. You gotta arrive on scene and feel the vibe.
Yeah.
You gotta check the vibe. And
you do.
then you adjust. Okay, how do they find and register if that's possible this time?
So it's go to themakingofpodcast.com/retreat, and all the information will be there.
I'm so excited for that.
It's amazing. I was there last year, and what I will say about Ashley, I know you just said it was a mistake to do Wednesday through Friday, and you're like, I won't do that again. But as I just listened to that, and I gave you flack for it too, I'm like, girl, you talk about really putting this into perspective of like, why are we doing CE on the weekends, which should be family time, which should be our personal time?
Yeah.
Why not do it during our working days? And honestly, I will say the things that were taught last year at the Making of Retreat, I feel if you dedicated 3 days from your business to be working on, to learn the ideas and do it during that working time, one, you're sacrificing your production. So you're actually going to be paying way more attention. Two, you're going to make sure that you take things home that you can go implement. I know like the things I'm even going to talk about alone. If you went and implemented 1, 2, 3 of the items I tell you, you will make up that production hands down. And that's just one speaker on the lineup. Ryan's going to teach you long-term. So practical, tactical, but then long-term fulfillment as well. I don't think you can put a number on that. And like, kudos to you, Ashley, for doing it differently. Like school, like let's do it during the working hours instead of having to do it on the weekend and constantly take time away from our lives. So massive shout out. Agreed. Like tell them, I know, Ashley, we're helping with Dental Team to do scholarships for people. So tell them Dental Team sent you, tell them Dennis Money sent you. It was an incredible event. And Ashley, your CE was the only CE event I have ever gone to where I was not dead exhausted from like over burnout of too much content and so fulfilled with the people and the relationships I was able to form there.
Cool.
So I have to say you give one of the best, if not the best CE events I've ever attended, and I go to a lot. So definitely head into
so excited. Kiera, where do they find the A-team? As if they don't know.
Oh, head on over to thedentalteam.com. You guys know we got the podcast. You guys, Dentist Money. I feel like Dentist Advisors and Dental Team are like the PB&J, the peanut butter and chocolate. If you know Dentist Advisors, hopefully you know Dental Team, because I think between the two companies, you really are like a match made in heaven. Like you really get the financial, the consulting, and off you go. So thank you, Ryan. And Ryan, for our show, how do people connect with you? Because honestly, Ryan, you have talked me off the ledge so many times. And it's funny, I was talking to a client and they said they've gone into like all these other financial advising groups, and they said, Kiera, who do you work with? And I said, Ryan. And I said, even though Ryan is so different than my personality, you are steady Eddie for me, and you keep me so grounded. And the client I was talking to, he's like, I just want simple. And I said, that's Ryan with financial, like Dentist Advisors. You make it so simple for us to invest, to get prepared for our future.
Cool.
So Ryan, how do they connect with you?
Appreciate that. Yeah. Dentistadvisors.com. check it out.
Check it out.
Reach out.
Really,
yeah.
If you want Ryan, you have to come through Dental A-Team, and I will
go
directly connect you. Because Ryan,
yes,
you're like really hard to get to be an advisor.
That's yeah. So okay, I like the teaser on that. If you want my personal email and get on my personal calendar, just go through Kiera. You got to talk to the A-Team first, and then you can get my cell phone even if you want it. That's fine.
Any client I send his way, he will still take on. So that's my like plug. If you
I will.
really want Ryan, come through me. We were siblings in another life. So Ashley, if you want to work with Ryan, you're welcome. This is a connection.
We might have been a trio, honestly. This might have been a trio in a former life.
It was a trio.
Well, thanks for having me in your audience, and thanks for being on ours. As always, I think this needs to be like a quarterly event at the very least. So we'll make it happen again.
Dentist, consultant, advisor perspective.
Yeah, it's cool.
It was really magical today. So thanks, guys.
You know what'd be fun is to get some listener questions, and then we could give perspective from financial advisor, consultant, dentist. Let's get some peer group, some listener questions, and then let's just come on here every couple of months and do it from 3 perspectives. Answer the same question from 3 perspectives. That'd be awesome.
I think it'd be incredible. So our side, Ryan's side, everybody, make sure you guys get those questions in. I think let's just do it. Let's plan to have it happen.
We'll do it. We'll field some questions and do it. Okay. Thanks, ladies. Thanks, everyone. We'll catch you next time.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys.
And that wraps it up for another episode of the Dental A-Team podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.